Separate the real from the fake. See, we got to get back to love. If we get back to love, then that's when we're going to get back to us.
It seems like it's never enough. And what do you say when you're...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of People Empowerment, where we would strive to change the conditions in our community. Today, originally, we were going to finish the housing court series, but it seems we imposed on some pastors that were in the studio, so we just decided to bring them into the show too. So we're just going to have an overview of the housing court, and also we're going to get into some other issues that are going on in the city. So I'm Nate Boyd, I'm the People's Advocate, I'm your host. I have Judge Carney here with me, and I have some pastors with me. We just got together, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, although I know one is Pastor Spikes. But if you guys could just introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Reverend Spike. God bless you. I'm also the sponsor of the TV program, Let's Talk Religion, and we thank you for your support.
My name is Edward Jackson, pastor of the Friendship Baptist Church.
Yes, Gregory Killian, Friendship Baptist Church.
Okay, all right, okay. So we got the heavyweights in here today. That's what I'm talking about, people empowerment. So, you know, this show is to inform people of what's going on in the public so that they can have some opinions, we can get some feedback from them, and try to improve, like I said, the conditions in our community. So we're going to start off with the judge, Judge Carney. And again, you know, we've been in here and we've been talking about housing court, the do's and don'ts, ins and outs, tenant-landlord relationships and such. And so I wanted to get into the overview of a housing court really quickly, because as far as complaints go, and so you were trying to tell us last time we were here something about the 311 series. Could you just?
There's a 311 line that's available for any citywide complaints. The mayor has made it mandatory that each and every phone call be followed up on and investigated. I know that the housing department, the building code inspectors answer 19,000 311 complaints a year, and they write approximately 3,500 of those every year for housing court. And we then take care of those. A lot of those they can take care of themselves. If it's a police issue or a quality of life issue, those 311 complaints are given to our new community police officers. Each district has two. They do not answer 911 calls. Their only responsibility is quality of life issues, neighbors, parking, housing, problems with drug dealers. Yeah.
Are you guys aware of this unit?
No.
Now that's in the city, pastors?
No, this is kind of new to me concerning the 311. Is this something every time a person moves into housing, project housing, they get this number to call?
Any issues?
Any issue that you want to call, and it can be anonymous, or you can give your name and address. If you have a complaint about a house, about a dilapidated house, a vacant house, you have a complaint about drug dealing, parking issues, you call the 311 line. Or if you have access to a computer, you can make your complaints. And they actually prefer if you can use a computer, because then it gives you a lot of space to describe your complaint, to describe what you're doing, and they're all answered.
What about the community policing? I'm asking, are you guys aware that they have specific police now that are designated just for that?
I was not aware, and this is great information to know moving forward, especially with our congregation, and for us to be partnering in the community that we're in. So this is good information to know moving forward.
Well, it's good to know you can use your 311 line, or you can actually go to your district, and of course the community police officers they work from 10 till 8. That's so that they touch all three police shifts and can coordinate with the other officers. But if you go to the district and leave a message, or you get the number for your police district and leave a message, they will get back to you. Now, of course, it's not instantaneous. Like 911 is something, it's happening right now. You know, this is something that's in your neighborhood, it's ongoing, it's a problem. I know that we discussed a problem that you had on your street earlier, and how you got rid of it.
Yes.
That's the type of thing that these officers are there.
What's the
They'll
time
go
frame?
knock on doors.
What's the time frame of response for once you went down and?
Depending on the severity, but I would say within a week or 2 weeks, they will have it investigated. They will go and
Before they
talk
respond
to
back
the
to you?
neighbors, yeah, and then they'll try to get back to whoever made the calls.
Now, let me ask you this, does this because I'm familiar with the 311. In fact, I believe it was on the news a couple weeks ago, in fact. So this does concern like neighbors with, maybe the next door neighbor with the loud music,
Right.
and so
Yes.
you can call, as opposed to
Yeah.
calling 911, you
Yes.
call the 311 number.
Now, if that party is raging, and of course the folks that live in the Buff State area or the UB area, if that party is blazing, you can call 911 to try to get that immediate response for the youth, the students. But if you have a neighbor who's of a particular problem constantly, you want to have your community police officers go and talk to that neighbor, let them know that there's complaints. Maybe they can resolve it, without making arrests. It's sort of a community liaison. And I know that through myself and through the courts, we have facilitated over 400 evictions of drug dealers just through this community policing.
Wonderful.
Some projects that I notice have their own security, okay? How does that play in with this situation?
The security from the projects can coordinate with the community officers from that district
Okay.
and hopefully work together to try to resolve the issues. I can't speak for private security, but I'm sure they'll make attempts to resolve community issues, quality of life issues. And if they can't, then I'm sure they're coordinated with the community police officers, who, by the way, all volunteered to be community police officers. It was a tremendous effort by the mayor, the commissioner, Dan Durenda, to set this up 3 years ago and to start training these officers. I've sat through all the training sessions, and this particular group of officers, for example, has their own almost personal judge, and that's me. They all have my cell number. They all have my contact information.
So, Your Honor,
They come to me.
and not to jump in, but sometimes I just jump in to keep it moving, you
Right.
know. No disrespect meant, of course. So can you call there and specifically, last question, and just ask for the community police officer department?
Yes.
Or detail?
Yes, and if they're not there, you may leave a message with them,
For them
and they will
specifically.
get back to you. Yes,
Okay,
for the community
something
police
going on in the
officers
community.
specifically, right.
Okay, let me ask the question. You're the housing judge.
Right.
What issues have you really dealt with that was resolved? You don't have to say the name, just, give me one of
Right.
the issues. 'Cause being
The
a
issues
judge-
that we've dealt with through the community police officers, for example, if there's a narcotics raid or there's a community uproar about narcotic sales, the community police officers will notify the landlord. And through the city ordinances, that landlord is responsible for up to a $5,000 fine. And if that landlord does not respond with eviction proceedings, then they will come to me and I will respond with eviction proceedings. I'll give you a perfect example. We evicted a drug dealer through the community police 5 times throughout the city of Buffalo.
Oh, okay. You kept moving.
That individual now lives in Lackawanna because they knew that it was just too hot for them to be here. So as Officer LeBron always says, you can do what you're going to do, but you're not going to do it here anymore.
Now, pastors, you guys are here today. I know you're here doing another show, but it's very interesting to see this group of individuals together. Now, so have you formed a unified? Do you do things in the community together? Is that the idea of you guys being here together? 3 pastors from 3 great churches. Do you get together and do things for the community?
I think that's the end goal in this
Okay, that is the
relationship.
end
It's a
goal.
lot of new relationships that's being created, and the end goal is to not just be a pretty building on the corner. I think that day has ended, and we need to be more active within our community because the church is a very integral part in our communities as a whole, and that's historic. So my goal is that we would begin to create some things where we are making an impact in the communities that we service.
Well,
I've also noticed that the churches, the pastors work a lot closer with the block clubs, the local, for example, the Maston group of block clubs, very close with their pastors. And it's just information. It's more information, more response, more people that can work on the cleanups, because we have a lot of ghost properties. We have a lot of vacant properties with deceased people. We have a lot of vacant properties with absentee landlords. We have a lot of vacant properties in foreclosure, and there isn't anybody that I can make do the work. And we work through the churches, through the block clubs. I know Reverend Benning, for example, is my Maston liaison, and he has a youth group that does cleanups of properties. You know, the neighbors are taking care of these properties now until we can get them disposed of or torn down.
Well, let me say this. Since you guys are just starting to come together and trying to devise ideas and create things that you could do together, I would just say to you that this summer, we're trying to put together with Betty Jean and some more people, we're trying to put together a March for Jobs. And we believe that if the pastors, the leaders of the churches, was to tell their organizations and their people, let's get together and let's come out together and let's march together, unified, that it would have a big response, big turnout. You know what I mean? The pastors not being afraid to bring the congregations together, like a Martin Luther King type of situation. You guys interested in helping us put something like that together this summer? Because we already putting it together. I wonder if you would be interested in joining in with
Yeah,
us.
I think that would be a great idea.
You would like that?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great
Awesome.
idea.
I was hoping that you guys would be interested in that. We might even get the judge to come out with us.
By the way, this is the Nate Boyd Rope You In show. I didn't know, you guys were blindsided. I've already been through it. This is the Nate Boyd Rope You In show.
Well,
Very effective.
Well, you know, it's about the people, right? It's about the people. Now, I'm about the people. I'm a community activist, so I got to do whatever I got to do. And the opportunity to have 3 leading pastors sitting here together, knowing that y'all want to change what's going on in our community, in the black community, the East Side community, what's going on. So, you know, this will be a great catalyst, I believe, to start off something serious. So that's one of the things that we plan to do. And now I got every one of you saying you're going to help and participate. That'd be great, okay?
City Judge, have you thought about going to the church with the information? Because you have a lot of insight. You ever thought of visiting the churches? Because people do need to know the information.
I have visited a great number of the churches. Like I said, Reverend Benning's very close with me. Councilman Reverend Pridgeon. My dad has been his attorney for 30 years, so we're very, very close. And I've been to his church. I've been to a number of different churches. Anybody that calls me to come out and answer questions, give people information, I'll be there. Because whether it's, we spoke earlier before we were on the news, on the show, it's about people working together, whether it's for religious purposes, governmental purposes, neighborhood purposes. It's all the same. If people are coming together and they're working together and stop complaining about everything and start doing something about things. You know, get involved. You've got elections coming up. We were going to talk about the school board
we're
election.
coming to it, yeah.
You know, May 6th. There's 12 candidates out there. We don't want to pick one for you. Pick the candidates you want. Go out there and vote.
Let me ask one more question.
Sure.
Wait, you know what? I know that you want to ask that question, but I would tell you that time is already flying.
Okay.
So that I would just like to say to the people out here that we're about to take a quick break, a pause for the cause, and we're going to be right back with People Empowerment. I would tell you need to go to the website, peopleempowerment.apollomedia.com, and please just stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Very impressive, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Thought he was pretty good.
I think we've got enough color around here. 2 points. And who's next?
You drop this.
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that's a very powerful commercial that was just on. Show you how people are, but all people are not the same. So here we are back, People Empowerment again, reminding you to pay attention to everything that's going on. We're going to get right back into it with the judge and with the pastors. Now I'm going to change the subject for a minute, and I want to go to the school board, which the judge has just started getting into. The school board this year in Buffalo is the biggest board vote we've had in a long time. We got 12 different candidates, like he said. Very exciting people out here talking about what we need. We know it's time for change. And so I would just ask you, pastors, if you would just comment briefly, each one of you, on this school board vote and tell the people how important it is to come out on May the 6th and vote.
I think it's huge. You need everyone to come out and vote. My thought have always been, if you do not vote, then you have no reason to complain. So the key is, if you want your voice to be heard, then come out and vote for the person who you feel is most qualified for the position.
That's it.
And I would also, just to piggyback off of that, your children's education is what's important. We're up in age, but now the children, as the songwriter said, the children are our future.
Come on.
So the children are our future. So go out and vote. Let us not, what's the word I want to look at? Let us not dismiss this so easily as like, for example, my child has been out of school now. She got little children. So I don't want to say, well, it's not my concern because I don't have any children to go to school. It is your concern because you got a niece, you got a nephew. So get out there and vote.
That's it. That's for real. Pastor Spikes.
I believe that when you go to vote, look at what issues the candidates are dealing with. Look what they present. Okay, don't go out there and vote because it's your friend. You got to look at the future of our kids. What do they offer? You know, are they offering good education toward our kids? Look at all of that. And once you decide, then you pick the right person that's help to our kids. We may not live to see them grow up completely, but they're out there. They're the future of tomorrow.
But Pastor, how important it is for the people to vote, regardless of who they vote for? Again, reiterate it.
It's very important that they vote because you have a candidate that you want in. You know this person is a good person to lead. So, like I said again, each candidate you pick, when you pick that person, you vote if you think it's right. Okay? Because if you don't do that and someone else get in there, then you hurt yourself.
Judge, who are you voting for, Judge?
Find out, you know, I was violating my oath. I know most of the school board candidates.
Okay.
There are some of them I don't know, and I spent 10 minutes with one of them who I'd never met before, came for a signature. Now, we're not allowed to sign petitions as judges, but I took 10, 15 minutes to talk to this individual, to find out who they were, what their qualifications were, where they came from, what their ideas were. You may not get a chance to speak to the individuals, but go online, talk to your friends, find out who all of these folks are. Each one of these individuals brings something unique. And is it something unique that fits your mind or fits your eye? What's their experience? What's their background? And then get out and vote for your candidates. It's about the kids and whether, I mean, I have grandkids in grammar school now. I have a grandchild on the way in May, and I'm worried about what's going to be the future. And the last thing I would leave all those folks with is not only vote, but if you have children in these schools, get to these schools, visit these schools. You know, Mr. Radford and his group, they have huge meetings, and they have 300 people there. Well, there's 35,000 students in the Buffalo Public Schools. There should be 70,000 parents at those meetings.
Yeah, mothers and
Everybody
fathers.
should be there. The only difference between public education and private education is the parents.
Participation.
Participation. Hold everybody accountable.
You know, I mean, it makes so much sense. And, you know, I think it's very important. You know, this snuck up. A lot of people doesn't even realize that May 6th is the date of the school board. I mean, I really didn't even know until the judge told me today. I'm thinking it was in
telling
November.
everybody.
But all the things is going around, so it's good that he's telling everybody, and it's very important. Now, remember, we got to talk about now who can vote. Anybody, Judge, Your Honor?
Anybody who's registered in the city of Buffalo can vote. It doesn't matter what your party affiliation is. The school board vote is non-party affiliated. If you are registered to vote, you go to your regular voting booth.
Regular voting place.
And cast your vote on May the 6th. These men and women who are running are working hard. They're working hard to make a change or to make a difference. So let's not waste all of that effort.
Now, let's talk about these positions that are up, because to my understanding, you know, there's a difference in a district seat and an at-large seat. And whether you guys know it, these are at-large seats that are up for grabs. So could you explain to the audience what an at-large seat means, the difference in a district and at-large?
Well, a district representative represents a particular area of Buffalo. An at-large seat is much like the council was, in that those small group, these three people that you're going to elect, are going to be the citywide representatives. They have a little bit more
input. They have a little bit more say. Not a lot.
So their
and
positions
I
are a
don't-
little bit more important.
I don't know what the particularization is of it, but yes, I would say it's a little bit more important that you vote now, and when the district candidates come up, you vote then too in your district.
But now, but at large specifically means
The
that
entire city.
So their interest is not just one district, which makes it even more important, gentlemen, to pick these people. You see what I mean? Because they're not locked into one spot. They're for the
Right.
overview. What's your opinion?
Well, my right now, and I'm just listening, but right now I would say my opinion is, I'm just listening, but my opinion is that we get the best for our children. Because you got to remember, and I say go vote again, because you know what? When you don't vote, you still vote. So that's my position. When you don't vote, you still vote. So go out and vote, because it's vitally important that the people we pick, they're going to be leading, guiding our children.
Now, how long are these positions going to last for, Your Honor? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I believe
Anybody know?
I believe they're 3 or 4 years in
3 or
length.
4. So
for the
so
at-large.
this is
Yeah,
so
they're
whoever
gonna
we
be there
pick,
for a
they're going to
while.
be here for a
Right.
while, which makes it even more important.
Yeah, I think the district positions are 2 years and the at-large might be 4 years, but don't hold me to that because I'm not positive.
Oh, okay. All right. Don't hold you to that because you're not positive.
Right.
We talked about the at-large positions. So we talked about how important it is to get out and vote. Okay, now we talked about what their duties would be, their overview. Is there anything else you could think that relates to this school board that needs to be said by anyone before we move from this topic?
I believe that the vote is so important because a lot of schools are closing. And they're dealing with a lot of issues, finances. Students are not being trained right. Or
Public
taught
and
right.
private.
Right. So I feel the voting is very important because you need to put someone in that can help our children.
Right.
Say the schools.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to look at. Say the schools.
You know, Reverend Spikes, there was, I'm looking at a show the other day and I couldn't turn the channel. It was on public access, but it was so deep and I couldn't turn the channel. And they were talking about how important it was. No, I was in the Common Council chambers Tuesday. In the meeting beforehand, they were talking about one of the charter schools. And anyway, they were talking about how important it was to keep this program going, but they also talked about how important it was not just to the schools. They spent $1 billion on these new schools, yet the conditions in the schools haven't changed that much. And they're saying because the community also is part of it. You change the schools, but you also have to change the mindset of the community, that little community schools, they call them. So can we just touch bases on that? Because what the gentleman was saying, and very spiritedly, along with Dr. Reagan and some more people, was if you don't change the environment around the school and the people's mindset around the school, then chances are even a new school doesn't mean anything.
Right, and I think that's crucial for us to make sure we understand. And the reason why is it's no organization can stand alone and make this thing happen. So you can't just count on the government to make it happen. You can't just count on the school board to make it happen. You can't just look at the parents to make it happen. It needs to be a collaborative effort to go into our communities working together so that the overall system can change and then real impact can be made. Because if you deal with the child in the school for 8 hours, but then they go home and they have nothing to eat, it's going to be hard for them to perform to a level that we want them to perform, especially with new standardized testing and all of these other things going on. So we can't just look at one part of the problem and ignore all of the rest. This is a holistic problem, and there are many facets to it that need to be addressed.
New York State already spends more money per student than any other state in the country. Actually,
What
than
is
any other place
$27,000?
in the world.
What is it, $27,000
It's-
per student?
The number seems to change every once in a while. It's
But
between
it's-
24 and 27,000. Now, there's not a private school anywhere in the Buffalo area that charges $27,000 a student. Nowhere, not Canisius, not Narden, not Park School, none of them charge $27,000 a student. But that's what the state is paying for Buffalo public school educations. So it's not a money issue. As you said, it's a participation issue. It's a people getting together and making sure that all the kids have something to eat when they go to school, that their clothes are fresh, and the community's involved, because people look at me, and I'm the president of the Division for Youth for the City of Buffalo, of the Board of Directors. And I tell people all the time when they say it's not my responsibility to raise somebody else's child. Well, that's true, but if nobody else is doing it, then yeah, it is
Got to
our
cut it.
responsibility.
Got to cut it again, Your Honor. We listen, gentlemen. We got like 4 minutes left. It's very important. I mean, this is real good. I just say to you again, just to say to everybody out there, please go to the website if you want to follow up and see this. You can see it on Public Access Channel 20 at 10:30 on Wednesday morning, and you can also see it Saturday nights at 10 p.m. You can also go to my website, which is peopleempowerment.apollomediacenter.com, and then you can see this show, you can see the series with the judge, as well as other shows that we've done. So it's important that you go to get this information. Now, just to jump back in with the pastors right quick, again, this was so important. I'm gonna have to invite y'all to come back on the show, my show, as we collaborate together to see what we can do for this community this summer. Because I believe that this summer, and we start thinking like Martin Luther King and those guys, that we can really put together something real strong in this community this summer. Now look, we got $3 billion worth of work going on right now, money ingested into this city. Okay, work is going on everywhere. We should be a part of it. Our young men should be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna take the spiritual leaders, first and foremost, to stand together to make something happen. Would you agree, and pastors?
Absolutely. First of all, because our young, and you know, you hate to boil it down to black and white, but the fact of the matter is, our young black youth, they have nothing to do.
That's right.
So when you have nothing to do, and you watch a commercial on TV that says, get this Mercedes or this Lexus, but then when reality kicks in after the commercial go off, you know, so they decide, well, I'm gonna just take mine. So, like you said, we get them out there, get their jobs. At least they'll have something to look forward to, and they don't have to keep looking over their shoulder about the police trying to pull them over, because they're working.
That's it. That's it. Pastors?
There's one thing I want to comment as we close. I'm so happy as a line 311. The thing that bothers me with that, people are afraid. They're living in fear.
Right.
So they're afraid to call about the
it
drug
can be
dealer.
anonymous.
Okay, that's what I want to know, because I want people to know.
It can be completely
Yes.
anonymous. Every call is recorded, but your information, if you wish it to be anonymous, you state it on the phone or you put it into the computer if you access it that way, and it's totally sealed. Nobody will ever see it.
Gentlemen, I would just tell you now, we're boiling down on our last 90 seconds. I appreciate you coming in here, but listen, I got to get back on this. I hate to stay on top of you guys, the pastors, right? But I'm telling you, I've been saying for years that it's the spiritual leaders, the pastors, who can bring our community together. If the pastors would come together and say, I want my whole congregation to be here at this time, everybody be here together so we can move together, then that's the catalyst for change. And I tell you, that's the only way it's going to change. Okay, so I'm glad you was here tonight. God must have meant for you guys to be here anyway when we came in here. It was all laid out and prepared before we even got in here. It's undeniable. And now you know we've been here together, we've talked together, and so y'all know this is about the people. I'm Nate Boyd. I'm the people's advocate. This is people empowerment, and I will tell you, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention.